Morning, everyone. How we doing? Or afternoon. Hope we're all doing really, really well. My stuff is all on backwards. Let's fix that. There we go. Hope you're all having a really good weekend so far. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about today at the point yesterday where I put the thumbnail up and said we'll talk about what's popped up this week. And then lo and behold, yesterday, loads of stuff popped up. So we'll get into all of it. I will just say to people coming in at the start of this, we are going to talk about a kit leak as well that looks like it's pretty genuine. Not going to cover that towards the back end of the video, just in case you don't want to know that, because some people don't want to see them. So we'll keep it to the end of it. We are going to talk about the Habib Diarra situation, people losing their minds over a player they hadn't heard about 4 weeks ago. So we'll put a bit more logic behind the bones, I think, on this one and give you some information. It's not the end of the world. It really isn't. As well as the preseason tour stuff has come out as well. Dan James' contract, goalkeeping situation. There's loads. There's loads to get stuck into, but we're not going to keep you here all day. We'll get in, we'll talk about it, and we'll get out and enjoy our Saturdays. 89 people watching in the house so far. Delighted you're all here. Welcome in. If you'd like to hit the little like button down below, that helps this stream get out to more people, which helps the channel to grow and more people to see the video who might not be aware that we're gone live. So that would be amazing if you could do that for me. Would really, really appreciate that. I never really ask, so thank you. First things first, Richard, new member. Welcome to the madhouse, I suppose, on board of the memberships. Distracted Strasbourg. We've got a load of people in the house. Good morning to everyone. I hope you're all doing well. It is a murky, wet, but really humid morning over here in Ireland today. So, yeah, lots of people in the house. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. We'll talk about it in a minute. And let's not start getting into Daniel Farke bashing territory. They haven't kicked the ball yet this year. So can we park the agendas for 20 minutes and we'll get through everything else without talking about Daniel Farke's future of the club. But yeah, Reggie Lebreeze knows a lot of these players, but Daniel Farke knows a ton of other players. There's reasons we got players to come to Leeds in the first place. So let's not forget about that as well. Kim is saying, disappointed, chat's freezing again. This happens every week on this platform now. There we go. Disappointed to hear about Diarra, but we've got to spread that cash around. That's the logical approach. We can't be spending £35 million on a 21-year-old. We'll get into the deal with Sunderland, and it's not a great deal necessarily for Sunderland should things not go well for them this year. Also, they've got a smaller PSR gap than us, which means that how much money can they actually spend now from this point on? Which would be interesting to see. Afternoon, Oliver. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, there's loads of you in the chat. I'll try and fly through as much as I can. We are going to have a conversation today as well. At the back end of the video, we'll have a chit chat as well. These videos are slightly different than the normal daily news videos. They're a bit longer and more of a chance to have a conversation with each other as well. Get to know each other just a little bit if you want to. If you don't want to, you can feck off in the chat and I'll feck off later on. So yeah, he's in the past, Oliver. Correct. There's a lot of money up front. Leeds like to amortize these payments. You look at what we've done with actually, Oliver, I'm going to pin that comment and I'll come back to you in a moment. Morning, Leon. How you doing, mate? So yeah, there's loads of you in the chat. Everyone's saying hello. Losing out on the Diarra is not a big loss. We need to buy players with Premier League experience. I would agree with you on that. I'm not opposed to a Sean Longstaff coming in. It's not sexy, but it's a sensible signing. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Disgusted about it. It's really not a dig, Barry. No shade at all, mate. But it's amazing the gap of reactions between people. And I go back again. 4 weeks ago, nobody had heard of Habib Diarra. And now he's the best player in the world. And we're all really disappointed that we got it. I'm annoyed that we've lost out on him, but I'm not annoyed at the reasons why we lost out on him. And we'll get to that in a sec. We're just trying to get through the initial chat. It's a lot of money to put up front. £30 million up front. If you look at the Yacobial deal with Leeds, that 15 million payment has been spread over 5 years. That means Leeds can spend more money in this window on players they need to. But Leeds have got more than one or two positions they need to lock down. So I reckon Sunderland's perceived losses of a threat to Chelsea. Maybe. But Chelsea own Strasbourg, or Blue Co own Strasbourg. So there's a sell on, though, in that deal, which will give you some indication of where their heads are. Brentford in for Siddiqui now, apparently. I haven't seen that, but if you can share the link to that, mate, I'll have a look at it. But we'll talk with Noah Siddiqui as well. And Douglas Luiz, because there's lots. Isn't it always murky and wet in Ireland? Yeah, but we don't get the murky heat as well. So, one or the other. Be warm, be cold. But don't be wet and clammy, as the word goes. North Taiwan sitting in a hotel, talking about humid. North Taiwan sitting on a hotel bank in cigarette kind of lager. Well for some, mate. In your opinion, they're overpaying? I would agree. Look, I tell you what, there's loads of chat. I won't get to everyone in the chat. We will get to it, but we'll address one Longstaff. Longstaff will be fantastic. I'd like him. Hard-working player, wealth of experience, fingers crossed. And I think that's a couple of the players Leeds need to bring in. Right. Let's not hang about. let's get the flashy graphics up on, on the screen. By the way, I want to just address a couple of real short things while we're here. A couple of people not happy with the new font on the bottom of the bar yesterday, trying around a couple of things. There is a full rebrand of the channel currently being undertaken. We are launching a website, which will be live in the next couple of weeks. That will give us some written content as well. That will be for the people who want to do more of a deep dive or a read. Plus, it will centralize all of our stuff in one location. This is my full-time job now, so I'm going to try and take it as seriously as I can. We're going to launch the website, a few articles every week, more or less previews and reviews. Andrew Stats Dalton is going to be around as well to do some statistical stuff on the site as well. So that's the direction we're heading in. We are working with a graphic designer, friend of the show. Massive thanks. I'll throw his name out when everything is done. I'll give you all of his details once we're done and dusted. So that's going on with a rebrand for the channel. And then as well, we have some potential new intros and stuff coming as well. So ignore the graphics for right now. I'm playing around with a couple of things, but that will all be changing. It'll be elevate the channel going into the Premier League, which is what I want to do next season. So yeah, if we're going to be in the Premier League, let's be a Premier League club. Let's be a Premier League channel as well. I think your channel's excellent. Well, thank you very much. Cheers, Kimberly. Yeah, so that's what just to make it a little bit bigger. We're doing really well. And I just want to make sure that we keep adding in the right areas and pushing the channel forward and adapting. So that's that. So let's get into this stuff and let's start talking about the news of the week and where we are. I won't get through all the chat on this, and I apologize for that, but I will. If you've got a question, stick it in, put a lot of question marks at the end of it. I'll try and star as many of them as you can, stick them in the end, and then stick them in the folder at the end. We'll come back and talk about all of them. So, right. 210 the house now. Stick a like, lads. Just press like. Just press that little button. Go on. Nice one. Right, let's get into this. Let's start off and talk about the first story that came out. First major story, I suppose, that's worth talking about this week. And it's actually, funnily enough, it's not Habib Diarra. It's Leeds United's pre-season tour of Germany. Now, the good side to this versus last year is we've got Villarreal, AC Milan, Manchester United. Manchester United in Scandinavia, AC Milan in Dublin, and Villarreal at Ellen Road. So at least there's 3 games that fans will get to see. But for this second year in a row, Leeds United will travel to I'm pretty sure it's the exact same place in Germany. And the fans have been denied access to go and watch the games. Now, I have my own opinions on this and I'll give them to you at the end. But in the meantime, I will give you the abbreviated story of this. And there's a really good point by Andrew here as well. There's no Euros this year. The reason we couldn't go there last year was the German authorities said there was a police hangover from the Euros. There is no Euros this year and no hangover. I'll give it a detail, then we'll have a chat. So, first things first is Leeds have apologized unreservedly to fans after being informed by the German authorities that their matches while in this camp in Germany must be played behind closed doors. Leeds say that they've been given written assurances from the German FA, from the tour operator, from local police and the authorities that fans would be allowed to attend these games and there wouldn't be a problem this year. Since that agreement and everything being locked down in place, the authorities have changed their mind and have now denied permission to supporters to attend any of the games. The bigger part of this is, I'm just going to remove that for a second. The bigger part of this is, for the second year in a row, it also states that they won't be allowed to do any live updates, any videos that are out live, or live streams from the venue. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but Oliver's nailed it here as well. Why not? Why not? Why can't these games be broadcast via live stream? I mean, the fans aren't going to be there. Putting out a live stream doesn't automatically attract thousands of fans to the side of a pitch. Now, we know from looking at it last year that this is a closed facility and that there isn't any stands for fans to be in, so it'll be standing room only. But it's a very unusual decision to deny fans the opportunity to watch the game live or to even see live updates. So even tweeting out live updates won't happen. So like last year, we'll have to wait until the game is over to get a score update and then to even get access to a live stream to watch the game as well. Club said last year it wouldn't happen again. Scrap it and move. I agree. The issue with this, and I said this yesterday, at this point, it's a simple reaction to this. Stop going to Germany. Just don't go there anymore. And pull this trip and go somewhere else. Come to Ireland. We'll take you. My wife works in event management and selling Ireland to foreign countries. I'm sure she can sort out a few hotels and a location to train in. She's got lots of connections with Irish hotels, but do something where the fans can come and be part of it. Pre-season is very important to an awful lot of fans. That's what I said. Just go somewhere different. The reason apparently they can't is they were given these written assurances by, again, the German FA, the tour operator, local police, and the authorities that said, no issues, fans can come, no problems. They've locked everything down. And they've committed to paying for all this stuff. They've committed to the teams that are traveling, the flights, the hotels, everything else. And then they've come back and said, actually, we changed our mind. They can't come. So they're kind of stuck in this position where everything's paid for, everything's booked. They kind of have to go now. And then this happens. So for me, it's a mad one. There's loads of tweets there on the page you can see as well. Supporters Trust have been involved in this as well. They have voiced frustration, saying for the second year in a row, Leeds United fans have been excluded from this event without any explanation. So, as we said last year, completely understandable. Policing hangover. There was money spent on overtime for police for the Euros. I get it. Don't like it, but I can understand the reasons behind it. But why not live stream these games? Why not have live updates? What difference does that make? It just feels a bit petty. Now, I'll try and get somebody who's closer to what's going on in Germany on the channel during the week. I'll reach out to him and have a chat with him and see if he come on and give us a bit more of an insight. Yeah, breach of contract if they do walk away from it, which is why they're stuck in this situation. So that's acceptable. I understand Leeds there's not a lot Leeds can do about this. And some of us have a nearly immediate negative reaction to our own club at times, which I never understand. But in this situation, there's breach of contracts there. They're all paid for. They're all sorted. So you can't really walk away. But if Leeds decide to go back next year, assuming Daniel Farke is still Leeds United manager come the end of the season, Leeds can't go back here next year. Like, they can't, because the exact same thing will happen again. So, you know what they say, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. So, yeah, it's a strange one. It's an unfortunate one. But as I say, at least we've got the positive that we've got a couple of other games that we can see. Roland saying, you can see with your eyes what the 49ers are doing. Let's go with the flow, Jer. I'm not cool with Nick Pope, really. He's had 3 bad injuries. Yeah, we'll talk about Nick Pope. We'll talk about all of that in a few minutes. Sky pulling out of Germany. I don't know what's going on over there. I'm not close enough to it to understand this. I won't throw shade on it. I don't know. But I really am scratching my head to understand, why can't the games be live streamed? Why can't people text live updates? What difference does that make? What impact does that make? If someone in the chat knows why that's likely, I'd love to know. But head scratcher. Really is a head scratcher. But yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about the next one for today, because we're not going to do this all day. We could be all day. This one, it's upset a few. It's not upset others. It's a very polarizing opinion on this situation. We'll get into some statistics as well on this. Leeds had bid £21 million for Noah Siddiqui. At the time, they were told that the players' representatives wanted him to play in a top 5 club in Europe, right? Playing a club that was in European competition, Champions League, that kind of stuff, right? Leeds did say from the very start of this negotiation, so people are saying that, Leeds have put out a story saying that the players' representatives wanted a top 5 club. Leeds haven't done that. Leeds have been very clear from the start of this that they weren't confident to getting this deal done. And they didn't get it done. It looks like on paper now. And as I say, there's 2 months left in this window. 4 weeks ago, nobody knew who this kid was. So I think the excessive reactions should be parked on this situation, because, again, no one knew who he was a few months ago. It's not like you're bringing Lionel Messi to the club, He could end up being as good as him. He could, But right now, he's 21 years of age, and he's been playing in France. Let's get the detail on this. So last night, Sunderland went in. Leeds had bid 21.9 million initially. That was still on the table. Leeds were still trying to negotiate. Sunderland came in last night with a £30 million bid. Now, there's conflicting reports on this. One bid says £27 million up front with £3 million of add-ons. Leeds would like to amortize that over a long period of time. Again, think of it this way. PSR, if they're paying 30 million quid or 27 million up front, that's a massive chunk. They can only lose 61 million this year from PSR. We have a slightly bigger gap because we had that 1 year in the Premier League in the last 3 years. So, yeah, they're going to have to blow that out of the water straight away. And that's going to impact future sales and future transfers that they make. And they might make a couple of sales on the situation as well. But Leeds outbid £30 million offer, 27 up front, 3 million add-ons. Some have said 30 million up front, 3 million add-ons, but they're there. There's a rumored sell-on clause, although not confirmed, that should be said. And this is seen as the Job Bellingham replacement. So the money they got for Job likely to go into this situation as well. Leeds have other options in this position. Leeds have also had a look at Douglas Luiz, if you believe the Italian media. Andrea Russo, friend of the channel, said yesterday on Joe Wayman's show he would be inclined to believe some of the people in Germany in Italy because he knows them. And they're very reputable journalists. So there's that. Then you've got Noah Siddiqui, who initially the Yorkshire Evening Post said Leeds weren't interested in. It's now been confirmed by the Athletic that Leeds are interested in him. So the local newspaper is wrong again on that one. We'll talk about the other options, that these are the options. So if we can't get one, these are rumored to be the other two. Noah Siddiqui in the middle, playing for Union St. Gilles. And you've got Douglas Luiz currently at Juventus after moving from Aston Villa last season. Didn't adapt to the Serie A at all. Really struggled in Serie A. Slower pace. Doesn't really suit his game. But they're looking at taking a haircut on the price they paid for him. They paid close to 47 million, I believe, last summer. They're looking for anything between 21 and 23 million pound for him now. So could be an interesting one if Leeds were to make a move for him. My brother's an Aston Villa fan. I asked him about him and he said first half of the season last year, the season before, phenomenal. Second half of the season last year, maybe got his head turned. Wasn't the same player, but still good enough player. A lot of Villa fans would take him back in a heartbeat. So there's that. Noah Siddiqui will cost significantly less money. The rumour transfer fee for him is anything between 8 and 15 million pounds, depending on interest in him. I have to wait and see there. His wife was involved in the Villa one. She wouldn't be involved in the Leeds one. There's no issue with her with the Juve women's team, so you wouldn't see that happen come to Leeds because Leeds women's team are, unfortunately, it's not worth talking about. Leeds have done so little investment in that side. They're stuck in the National League, the Northern National Leagues. So, Luiz's wages, you're dead right, Andrew, would be an issue. He's on 85,000 a week. He might take a cut price deal to move if the option's up. They're going to sell him. That's it. End of story. So, again, as Richard is saying, the wages are definitely an issue, but that could be sorted out pretty easily. The two that I reckon it's Siddiqui is the other option. These are the side-by-sides. I'm going to have a little look. Down below here are the heat maps from their season. So, it shows you the amount of ground they've both covered. This is Habib Diarra, a very right-centric kind of player. Whereas you look at Siddiqui, covers an awful lot more of the park defensively as well as attackingly. He's 20 years of age. Diarra's 21. Height-wise, Noah Siddiqui slightly bigger than him. Ties in what Leeds have done this summer so far, bringing in more physical, taller players. I think that's about 5'10". Someone can tell me what 183 centimeters is in feet. I think it's about 5'10", 5'8", between 5'8" and 5'10". I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know. I've no clue. But anyway, the transfer fee, the rumour transfer fee, Leeds had bid at 21 asking price, but it's gone to 30 now. So 12, 15. Their season's average ratings, Siddiqui is slightly better. He's playing the Belgian Pro League. They won the Belgian Pro League, where Diarra is playing for Strasbourg, who were top end of the French league. When you look at their kind of key passing statistics of these two players, Siddiqui averages more minutes per game than Diarra. Total minutes played, he's played more. He's made more appearances last season. In terms of passing accuracy, assists, 3 for Siddiqui, 5 for Diarra. The reasons for this as well is Diarra is played more as a attacking midfield option for Strasbourg, where Siddiqui can also play as a defensive midfielder as well as the box-to-box job, so does sit in at times as well. Assists per game averages are there. The expected assists, so pretty much bang on where they were, which means that their assists, the balls are playing in for the assists are being converted. Big chances created, 7 for Siddiqui, 9 for Diarra. Again, that attacking option there as well. And then accurate long passes, 64% for Siddiqui and 55% for Diarra. Crosses, non-existent pretty much for both of them, 25% for Diarra and 4.5% for Siddiqui. But again, if you go back to the map, you can see here, Diarra spends an awful lot of time over here in wide areas. Siddiqui very much keeps the central area of the park, holds that shape, which one thing I was taught when I was doing my coaching badges was when you're talking to midfielders is never surrender the middle of the park. Make sure you've always got that middle of the park locked down. Siddiqui kind of covers that ground. So for me, there's not a million miles of difference between these two. It has also been said they're very, very similar players. They both have very high ceilings. They're both rated to go on and play and be bigger players in the future. As also said here, Siddiqui can also operate as a right back. We know Leeds like Rob as well. We know Leeds like to have players that can play multiple positions and could be important next season. So, yeah, it could be a cheaper option. It could be a better option for us. Again, likely spreading that payment as well. And if you did it to put £8 million up front, it's not the end of the world. You can still spread spread it over a year or two anyway and make it less. But Leeds have got to be really clever with their money this year. And the point I'll make on this is this. We have roughly 150 million pounds we could possibly spend this summer. And we need to bring in a goalkeeper, a centre back, a centre midfielder, a 10 and 9, probably a left back, and possibly a winger as well. What's also included are player wages. That all needs to be taken into consideration. So Leeds, for me, are not in a position to go and put 30 million quid on the table and go, there's 30 million up front out of our total budget. Just rips the budget apart. The wages are also part of that budget. So having the ability to spread those payments over 5-year contracts like they've done with Jakub Bial means they've got a hell of a lot more money to spend in this window. They've got more money to offer on wages. They can do more. They can fill more positions. And what people are forgetting, I think, this year as well is that bench is going to need to be filled out. There's players that were on that bench last year that won't be here this year. So that also needs to get filled out as well. And we'll try not to talk about him today. But we'll see. There's going to be an option there. We have to talk about Jack Harrison. At some point, we will talk about Jack Harrison. I'm going to leave it to the last second to talk about him. But there is that as well. So for me, there's an awful lot of play here. Yeah, it's disappointing you don't get a player like Habib Diarra. But if you can get a player like Noah Siddiqui, that's fine. If you can manage that money better, and that money then could potentially be spent on a bigger player, like maybe a 10, maybe a 9, where you'll really see the output of them next season. So for me, I'm all right with the reasoning behind not getting this deal. I think Leeds have to be smart. We can't be stupid like we were the last time in the Premier League. We threw money at players who just wanted to play Premier League football. They didn't want to play for Leeds. They just wanted to play Premier League football. And then when the going got tough, they all fecked off. And that to me is the point. Muniz 40 million upwards. That 40 million will likely be spread over 4 or 5 years. So 10 million a year for 4 or 5 years. There's that as well. So yeah, big money. But again, that amortization of those payments kicks in. If you're paying it up front, that wipes out your transfer budget, wipes out your wage budget, and you might be left with 2 players you can bring in. And it'll be interesting to see what Sunderland do now as well. Remember where they finished in the league in the championship last season, and also remember how they were against us last year, outside of the mistake with Meslier last year. There's a gap between them and us last year, a significant gap between them and us this last year. Them bringing in 1 or 2 big players isn't going to push them on as much as people might think they will. So it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. We will of course keep an eye on it. But yeah, it might not even be Noah Siddiqui. We may never buy him either. It could be somebody completely different. And we saw that with the 49ers before. They can make these moves. Players arrive a day before it's announced, and bang, player comes in. So, but I do agree with Oliver here. Striker is really important. I don't mind big money going there. And that's where I think Leeds will need to spend the big money on a 10, on a 9. Is Leif Davis an option? Not after the season he had last year in the Premier League. I wouldn't say so. No, very much an attacking player, but there's a reason no other Premier League clubs are looking at Leif Davis right now. I like Leif Davis. I liked him at Leeds, but I don't believe he will give us what we need in the Premier League next season. I think Leeds will need another option, but maybe, you never know. I'd like to see some of those players come back because I think he'll get better as he gets older. But anyway, that's the Habib Diarra situation. It's not perfect. It's not ideal. This is going to happen. We're probably going to lose out on more targets this summer as well. We've got to realize who we are. We all know Leeds United is a massive club. We all think Leeds are a brilliant club, that Leeds have huge potential, and that the room to grow in the next couple of years is there. It's positive stuff. A lot of these players on the continent, they look at the league table last year, the league table the year before. They look at the league table the year before that when Leeds got relegated. They look at all that information. They say, well, Premier League teams that get promoted come straight back down. Do I want to be involved in a relegation battle? That's what they look at. So there is a sell here, and we're not going to get everyone we're linked with. The Angers captain, or Angers, I'm sorry, I keep being told how to pronounce this, and I keep getting it wrong. Angers captain. I'm not covering this story because it came out from Football Insider, and they are 99.9999999% wrong every time. So yeah, not covering that until somebody credible picks that up, but it's an exclusive from Football Insider. There's a reason I don't cover them. There's a short video on the channel which explains why I don't cover Football Insider with 1 summer of all of their links that all ended up being false. So yeah, we don't cover Football Insider. We try and be a little bit more credible and a little less clickbaity, even though I still get the odd clickbait comment. But sure, look, that's life. Let's move on. Let's talk about this man. So this week, news came out that Leeds are close to agreeing a new deal with Dan James. He's got 1 year left on his current deal. There was some talk earlier on in the month that they weren't on the same level. He wanted a longer deal. Leeds weren't so keen on a longer deal. So, sorry, just this one as well. Leeds lost out on Max Aarons. Aggressive move to Bournemouth, but got Jane Bogle. Said exactly. See, it's not always the end of the world. Yeah, so James, there was the conversations around potentially not being lined up on the deal. According to Baron Cross and The Athletic this week, that is done and dusted now. And the deal will be signed when he gets back from his holiday. So we're looking at Dan James extending his contract. Some people this week had a real go at Dan James staying at the club, talking about his time in the Premier League last time around. I think for people have forgotten to watch the games in the Premier League the last time around, when under Jesse Marsh, he was loaned out to Fulham because Jesse didn't believe in wide players. And under Marcelo Bielsa, he was played as a number 9, and he's not a striker. When he played in his natural position the last 2 years for Leeds, he has been one of, if not the most important player in that Leeds United squad for the last 2 seasons. And I love this man. He gives everything to Leeds. If you believe the side before self stuff, that's the guy right there. That's the side before self guy right there. Does what he's asked, never moans, never gives out, gives 100% all the time. And if we're talking about loyalty from us wanting loyalty from players, we should give loyalty to some players as well. And this kid's deserved it for me. So I'm delighted to see that that's happening, that he's sticking with the club and that he'll be with us a bit longer, possibly a 3-4 year deal. They'll bring him into his early 30s. It'd be great then to have him for that. As we always say, I think, as has been said here, massive counter-attacking option in the Premier League, which we'll have to deal with this year. So, yeah. BMG is saying Ampadu, Tanaka, Gruev, and potentially Aronson in deeper role is not far off a decent midfield, and Longstaff, for instance. Yeah, I mean, if we were to start the season with Ethan Ampadu and Tanaka in the centre of the park, I don't think anyone have a massive problem with that. So, yeah, it's not the end of the world. I really don't. We love an overreaction or a reason to be outraged. I just don't think it's there at this moment in time. Let's move on. Let's talk about the next one. Rodrigo Munez. So where are we with the situation on this one? So Leeds had a bid that went in. I'm going to just save a question and save a question. Sorry. A bid went in, was rejected. Leeds were thinking about going again. News came out this week from Fulham, who they've pretty much said Munez is not for sale for any price, that he's part of their plans, and Marco Silva wants him as part of the plans next season. He's not going anywhere. So there is that. However, there's more context to this that might change that situation closer to the start of the season. Fulham have bought a striker, and they're also linked with moving for a second striker, and Jimenez is getting older. So if they're replacing strikers, there might be a possibility that he becomes available. And if he's people, or if him himself has told, sorry, I'm choking myself here. If they've told the club that he wants to move on, then they could be getting their ducks in a row before they allow him to move on. So there could still be some ground to run on this. But right now, he's not for sale according to Fulham. So it's not going to happen, at least not right now. We'll wait and see what happens here as well. The other one that I think was Kristovic. We said I wouldn't talk about Kristovic anymore because the YP have been adamant on this. Andrea Russo, who knows the Italian journalists, has said he believes the Italian journalists on Kristovic. But there is something in that. So we'll have to wait and see. So that's that one. One that we haven't included here, so I'll just take that off the screen for 2 seconds, is Oliver Boast. About a month ago, we said on a stream that Oliver Boast could potentially be leaving Leeds, heading towards Spurs for £1 million. Baron Cross and The Athletic confirmed it this week as well, that he has gone. 16 years of age, which means he's not on a pro deal or a scholars deal, which means Leeds can't get involved in the situation. It means that all Spurs have to do is negotiate with his family, which they've done. And then it likely goes to a tribunal to organise a fee, because you have to be reimbursed or compensated for the development work that you've put in the player up until this point in his career. Leeds would not be guaranteed a decent fee from a tribunal. It's usually quite small amount of money. But what's happened here is the club have agreed a fee with Leeds. It's £1 million, and Oliver Boast leaves and goes to Spurs. It's a very, very similar situation to Finlay Gorman last year, who was described as a generational talent, who looked like a proper number 10 coming through and could have been in the Leeds United first team in a year or two. So I don't believe Archie was involved in that at all, mate. I really don't think an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old is getting involved in transfer conversations. It's very incredibly unlikely. Anyway, Boast was said to see the facilities at Spurs as being a higher level, even though they're the same grade. There's a slightly fancier looking right now. That will change with Leeds in the next couple of years. But he's moved on. The Finley Gorman one was the same. Leeds got £5 million from Manchester City, who are currently raiding all of the academies to get their best players. And the reason for this is interesting. Youth signings don't factor into PSR. So you can sign as many young players as you want for as much money as you like. Doesn't impact your PSR at all. It is separate to PSR. Same with stadium development, same with the women's team. Anything that's seen as development isn't part of your PSR. And what Man City and other clubs look like they're doing are going around and grabbing these players and paying $1 million and $5 million now. And if you go back, 8-9 years ago, even not that long ago, paying £1 million the championship was a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? So now they're paying it for 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds. And what's interesting about this is it means that if they get the next big talent, they paid £5 million for him a couple of years ago and not paying 50 to 100 million pounds for him like Erling Haaland and players like that. So there is that. The concern is this one. The concern is Harry Gray. That he's not for sale. He's safe. None of these players were for sale. And that's the point, I suppose. Gray can get trapped. Yeah. Harry Gray turned 17 in October and has been already told, like they did with Archie, there will be a pro deal put on the table for him. He has connections to Leeds, and he's very unlikely to leave until probably at least he has a season under his belt to the club. And then the club has to match the aspirations of the players. So I don't think with Harry there's the same issue. I don't think there's similar situations. Boast is not even necessarily overly tied to Leeds. So from that position, I think Harry's fine. But it's disappointing to see Boast go. It's another young, talented player that was coming through that's gone. But at least we got something for him. There's no guarantee they actually turn out to be what we think they are. And they're going into much more competitive academies and first team. So the likelihood of getting more game time was reduced. If you look at Boast, he played a lot of under 21 football last year for 15, 16-year-old, which Leeds like to give him these stretch assignments and push them on. He might not get that at Spurs. He might be very much stuck in the academy till he's 18, 19. So we'll see. Let's move on to the next one to cover in the news today. And it's the kit leak. So there you go. The kit leak. We talked about these last week. We looked at a couple of different kit leaks that came out. And we kind of went through the reasons why they weren't real. This one for me, this is it. I believe this is the Leeds home kit. We said last week that I thought that the Lowfields tunnel elements would find their way into the collar and the cuff, and they have. And then outside that's pretty much a plain white shirt by the blue stripes, which I'm for. Like we scream every year for an all white shirt. And then when we get one, we're like, it's boring. I want something else. So I'm okay with this. The Bulls should be blue. I'm not as precious about this as I used to be. When I was younger, I wouldn't wear it if I had red on it. I'm not as precious anymore as I've gotten older. However, there is a point to this. If Red Bull put them in blue, they would sell more of that shirt. That's simple. Dead right. I understand the reasons why a company won't do that. The home shirt is the one that is seen on TV the most. It's the one that's worn the most. It's the one that's the most visible, all up. So they want their official brand on there because that's what they're getting out of the sponsorship deal, right? However, Mark doesn't like it. That's okay, Mark. It is a plain white shirt, Mark. I mean, there's not a lot we can do with that without putting loads of stuff on it, which will then upset everyone who wants a plain white shirt. So the Red Bull thing, go back to this. The Red Bull logo, yeah, it is an interesting one. If they put blue on that, it sells more shirts. And it probably ends up being a really top-selling jersey. Pink Floyd's not buying it. That's fair enough. Red Bull must have been happy with the yellow last year. Yeah, you're likely to see their logo change on the second kit and the training gear as well. And they did it around the training ground and around the pitch. They didn't put the Red Bull logo in red around the pitch. But this is the trade-off, isn't it? You get the money from them. You've got a big sponsor. And bearing in mind, all the gambling sponsors are going to be gone from the end of this season coming. Leeds have already got a big global corporation sponsoring them, which will be a very big thing going forward for money. But yeah, there is this one there as well. Vodafone did the same thing with Dortmund, kept the logo black instead of red. Yeah, it's a genuine question. And to be fair, it probably negatively impacts the sale of the shirts. Like if it was blue, it would sell more. I'm okay. I don't mind it that much at all. I do like the Lowfields elements on the collar and the cuff. I think they're quite smart looking. And I like the fact that the bulk of it is white. So for me, I like this one. The makeup of the shirt is wrong. The neckline is out of kilter. If you blow up the picture, the yellow ball isn't even round. But it's not round because it's got a crease on it, mate. And it's on a coat hanger. So it's hanging loose. I'll tell you why this is real. This is a JD Sports link. I spoke to the guys in the Fanatics last week. I've had a couple of conversations with Fanatics. We're doing some stuff with them. And they've told me that they're hoping to have the store open for the 1st of July. It's 2 days away. These kits have gone out the store to be sold. And I would be shocked if these don't go on sale on the 1st of July. That's why I think it's real. But it's interesting. But it's an interesting point. But much nicer with a collar. Yeah, I'd like it changed to the plain round neck. But yeah. I'd still buy it. It's a Leeds shirt. Yeah, and the reason I buy it is because PSR. This is revenue. We buy these shirts, Leeds have more revenue. Leeds can spend more money. So why no lingerie? Why no lingerie? Who knows? Looks the same as this year without the blue on the side. Slightly difference in the corner. But yeah, I mean, it's an Adidas template, isn't it? Is this the official shirt? I believe it is. I could be wrong, but for the JD part and the dates that I've been told, 1st of July, I believe that this is the shirt. But I could be wrong. Yeah. Why don't Red Bull put Red Bulls on the arms? Yeah, you still have red. I can tell you this for a fact. I know people who, when we were sponsored by 32 Red, even though it was in blue, wouldn't buy it because the word red was on it. So even sticking the Bulls on the shirt, the sleeve, wouldn't work. Also, the other reason is there's no sleeve sponsor on this shirt. And if you looked at the way the Leeds have done it over the last couple of years, the sleeve sponsor hasn't been on the jersey in all retail outlets. Certain ones have been. So interesting one. Blue is fine. Red is not. The war 2 roses. Yeah, I mean, you're right. And this is a personal preference. I get it. I understand the reasons for it, but I do understand it. If you want a nice January window, buy these shirts. Pretty much. Yeah, that's it. If you want money in the club, buy the shirts. The line left collar doesn't line up and same with the sleeve. Yeah, it doesn't there. You're probably right, actually. Yeah, that doesn't. Interesting to see. But I do think this is probably likely it. But it's an interesting one. We could talk about these. It's not the plain white. The trim looks like an afterthought. I think I remember when the boxed white kit with the peacock embossed white on white came out a couple of years ago. People hated the leak. And then it was put on the players and they came out with it and it was done professional. They're like, oh, actually, it's quite nice. So nothing looks good on a hanger. Good evening, Einer. Slightly better than last year's, though. Well, yeah, less blue in it, more white, which I'm okay with that. I think the blue one season just gone was a banger. Yeah, it was, yeah. Yep. Home kit will get released first. It looks like it. I believe it's the 1st of July. I could be wrong. I'm just saying what I believe. I haven't been told that directly, but they've had conversations saying that the online store and the physical store will be run by Fanatics this year, and will open the 1st of July. That's what they're aiming for. Home is predictable. Yeah. The away kit's the one I'm looking forward to, the blue one. If it's blue and yellow, whatever it is, I'm looking forward to that. I'm buying the shirt, always buy a home shirt, got to help contribute to the club. That's the reasons why. Yeah. Should have gone for a retro kick like the yellow ones. I think you'll see retro in the other ones. We had reds on the past, no problem, regardless of color. We know who we are. Yeah, we're Leeds. We know who we are. Right. Is that the last story? No, goalkeepers. Is that the last one then? Yeah, we're nearly there. Right, goalkeeper situation. Where are we with this? So, interesting week on the goalkeeping situation. We know that Newcastle United are in active negotiations to sign James Trafford from Burnley. Burnley brought in a goalkeeper there, although likely to bring in another one. Nick Pope, according to Baron Cross, who is a Newcastle fan. I did check that out. He is a Newcastle fan. Last week I was corrected on that. He is. Pope is said to want to fight for a spot. Now, he's in his 30s. Will he want to sit on the bench at this point in his career? Or will he want to go play football? He could potentially go back to Burnley. That could be part of that deal. He could go to them from Burnley in the first place. Could he come to Leeds United? Leeds have been linked with him. Nothing official, nothing from the club, nothing that says that he is. Sam Johnson, another one that's been named, been put in the chat there as well. So, yeah, possible there. But according to information from the club, as of right now, Ilham Elia is not for sale. The club haven't been touting him out to other clubs. And there are no offers on the table for Ilham Elia. There's been no approaches right now. And that could be forced by a goalkeeper coming in. And that would pretty much tell Ilham Elia your time is up with the club. The other side to this is Ilham Elia's got 1 year left on his current deal. And he could see this out. He could sit on the bench for the entire season, ride this out till the end of the year, and then have the pick of whoever he wants to go to with no transfer fee involved at all. Leeds would lose out on money there. Whatever Leeds bring in at this point for Melier will be a PSR profit. So Leeds would like to get something done. So But right now, he's not for sale. Dachman is an interesting name. Petrovic is off the table. He's not going anywhere. We're not getting him. Strasbourg are going to likely make that deal permanent. They're owned by Blueco. They own Chelsea. It's a very straightforward transfer. Also helps Chelsea from a PSR perspective. We know that they like those little loopholes. So Petrovic probably not going to happen. Finn Dachman's an interesting one. I'm not one of these people that tracks flights, but a flight did come into Leeds yesterday from Augsburg. And that's where Finn Dachman plays. Not saying that that's Finn Dachman. Not even close to saying it, but it was an interesting to see it. Maybe. And probably end up in Saudi for Nick Pope. Yeah, very likely as well. Meslier could end up there as well. But right now, as it stands, it's not a priority position for Leeds United. It's not one that they're massively concerned about right now. And I think if you think about pre-season, you'd like Livakovic. Well, Livakovic is leaving Fenerbahce, I believe, which is why they were linked with Meslier, which would be interesting. Joe likes his airplane track. If you want the tracking, Joe's your man. And there's jet washers. They're the men to track that one. So you can check it out with Joe. But I don't know. But I do know a flight came in from Augsburg yesterday into Leeds Bradford. Luke saying saw the flight from Germany to Leeds and everyone praying it's Dachman. Dachman's save percentage is very high, but he didn't face a lot of shots. He faced 33 shots in total last season. Somebody like Jordi Petrovic faced him like 189 shots last year and had a higher save percentage and a higher XGOT as well. So it's interesting. Leeds will have more shots to face, but Dachman's a good young keeper. Well, not young. He looks very young. Sorry. He looks very young. He's not. He's 26, 27, I think. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But as of right now, it's not a priority position. And I think the other part of this as well is Leeds want to get as many outfield players in before July 7th as they can. It's looking less and less likely to get anyone else in before that. They might get one or two in before then. And that gives those players time to bed into the tactics, the systems, get to know the players, build up relationships with each other, get an understanding on the park, which will be needed for the friendlies that they've lined up. There's no point in playing Manchester United, Villarreal, and AC Milan if you're not going to have your key players in. The point of those friendlies is to get you ready to play against higher level opposition for next season and Manchester United. So it makes sense to get them in. The goalkeeping position is slightly different. It's a bit more basic in terms of statistics, tactics. It doesn't need to be involved in the day-to-day kind of outfield stuff. Just needs to be brought in. So that one could be later on the window, and I'm okay with that. It is a priority position, but it's about getting the right one and not jumping at the first one that possibly comes up. So other things could happen in the next couple of weeks. So that'll be the interesting one as well. I like Nick Pope. He's a very sensible, safe signing. Same with Sean Longstaff, a sensible, calm signing. Nothing spectacular. We went for spectacular last time around. It didn't always work out. So a couple of calmer players in there will be fine. I keep going back to Jason Wilcox and David Hopkin. Nobody was excited when they joined Leeds. And they both had fantastic times at Leeds United. And were great for the club. So yeah, that's pretty much where we are right now. All Karcher out weekly, sponsored by Karcher Jet Washers next season. That's where we are right now. If you could stick a like on the video, that would be really, really appreciated. It helps the video get out to more people. It lets me to do these more often once I know that they're working. And we got such a very positive reaction to this last week. I decided to keep this going every week moving forward. So again, if we can get another positive reaction this week, it'll be great to see that. So by smacking the like button, that really helps me to get this out to more and more people and get it seen. And yeah, it's a little button. Takes 2 seconds. I don't ask during the week. So if you could do it, I really appreciate that. And that'll be it. I'll be back on Monday morning. We're then at that point. What date is Monday? Monday is the 30th of June is the PSR day. So from Tuesday, then, I think we're likely to start seeing stuff. Not from a Leeds perspective, but I think it's a new PSR window and clubs that have been watching what they're spending. That goes away on that date. And I think then you start to see dominoes falling and things to start moving. So yeah. Really interesting one. I will rattle off a couple of questions real quick. So Oliver, Diarra is in the past now. One, we weren't willing to pay that high. Yeah, I agree with that. Also, not much of it up front. The deal wasn't to our taste. He wasn't someone we wanted to break transfer strategy for. And 30 million up front, I believe, be close to a record as well. He is Sunderland's transfer record. Luke saying German authorities apparently wouldn't accept a permit for pre-season situations for allowing spectators or live updates. I've never heard of a permit to support before. I joined a little late. No, I appreciate that update, Luke. I've never heard of a permit to do live updates for what is essentially a training ground. Strange one. Daniel, Jared of the channel, watch every video. Question. What's the next position you think Leeds bring in and how many do you think we add before the 7th? I think left back is possibly going to come in pretty early, get the defensive unit at least locked down for pre-season. And I'd like to see 2 come in before the 7th. I'd like to see that 10 position come in as well. We need a winger at some point as well. That could be a loan later on the window as well. But yeah, I think they're the 2. And the concrete news on Pope. Yeah, not for sale. Currently, he's not going anywhere. There's nothing in it right now. Rajiv, even feels like overreaching, plenty of fish in the sea. Let's not forget the fact a French-speaking manager might have a good way with a French-speaking player onto bigger things. Yeah, correct. Very sensible approach there. And I'd still take Sam Johnson. Yeah, I would agree with you on Sam Johnson as well. I think he's a very sensible signing as well. Right, we'll leave it there, folks. Thank you, as always, for spending your morning, your afternoon. We really appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the videos during what has been a pretty quiet period in the last couple of days for Leeds United. So I really appreciate it. That's the job. That's the living. I appreciate everyone who's supporting it. Bigger things to come on the channel. New look, new feel. Website coming on board as well. We've got stats locked down for next season. Paul Brooker's locked down for podcast. We've got other people to lock down. We'll have some announcements around what our team will look like for next season. I'll have a proper crack at this in the Premier League. But a massive thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Hope the weather gets better for everybody where I am. And I'll talk to you Monday morning for more Leeds news. See you then. Enjoy the rest of your day.